slowly but surely starting to get a bit of a following here. Hello, my friends. And perfect. Behemoth offers us knowledge of Sandblast. Again, that's not something I have very much interest in, so I think I'm going to have to pass you by on that one, my magical friend. But maybe in another lifetime. Except probably not. Usually I don't bother too much with the level 1 spells from Behemoth. And I wait for the good stuff to kick into gear. It's definitely a nice source for the higher level abilities that we very much will desire down the road. Which is IMB, Sons of Guns. Into an early grave. Just fantastic. And not too shabby here. Similarly, we'll keep this son of a gun in the blast radius, putting our own body on the line, which is maybe not the best way to go about it as a Felid, but we somehow are making it work here. So let's just continue to do so, shall we? And Blink Frogs coming in one at a time would have been very nice. I wish that we could have kept that as a theme here, as a thing that we were doing, because I definitely was a fan, but that's fine at the end of the day. I guess we'll just make do. In fact, let's pop up for a quick replenishment of all of our MP, and then we can juggle these Sons of Guns just fine using IMB. And that should work just perfectly. Not too shabby here. Is this the level with the beehive? Oh, I did that without thinking. Melee is very bad for me. At least they have low health, so they should die to one Fulminant Prism pretty much every time, but in general, that smiting is just an absolute nightmare for us to deal with. Definitely not in our book of things that we wish to come across over the course of our run, but we will deal with whatever needs must as we continue through, of course. Ooh, do I bother with you kids, hey? Potentially shouldn't. I think I might give it a good old college try here and see how she goes. Just keep you kiddos blasted, and that is fantastic. Hitting level 12 finally, and getting one more point of AC. Woo! 3 whole AC. Basically unkillable now, my friends. What could possibly stand in our way? Fighting has already hit up to 3, though. Challenge station's up to 13. Not too bad. Dragon form is now at 9%. It's real dang close after just forcibly trying to get that son of a gun online. And let's try that again, my elephant friend. And rinse and repeat. Perfect. Ooh, a basilisk as well. Oh my gosh. Don't do as I do, children. Oh, Fulminant Prism, incredible spell, just truly wonderful and beautiful, especially on a cat, but also very likely going to be the source of my own demise, if we're being honest. But hey, here's to maybe avoiding that eventuality in the future, as long as we believe. Okie dokie. Bees shouldn't be too much of a pain in the rear with IMB, but again, if Melee show up, or even a Basilisk shows up, that could very quickly change for the worse. Jeez Louise. Let's definitely get one more Fulminant Prism up in case we can't take care of this son of a gun before we go statue form. There we go. Get me back to my stairs. Oh gosh, not the bees. Oh Lord, not the bees. 1 bee is fine, but bees, plural, definitely could have been a bit worse for wear there. And do you know what? I think I might just say nay to the old hive here for the time being. We can always come back later But for now, let's just explore the regular part of the floor without too much worries in that regard. At least that's the dream here, that's the goal. Looks like we also have a bear's den. Is this just a floor of like multiple special locations, the home base of all of the various animals that we find making roost down here in the wonderful lair? Definitely seems to be the case. Ooh, but a lightning rod. Not too shabby. And these sons of guns get real bad if they do manage to put us to sleep, but I guess we can always try to put up a decent array of defenses. Oh gosh. If I'd still been asleep when my own fulminant prism went off, that would have been exceptionally embarrassing, so let's try to avoid that if at all possible. Whoopsie daisies. Again, it's going to be fitting if I die via my own fulminant prism, but oh boy will I be unhappy with myself. There we go, the first 4 layers, or floors of lair rather, are finished up here. So now we can either head back out to regular dungeon or start on one of our S branches. And I'm leaning towards regular dungeon. I guess spider will largely be our spells. Would be nice to have some poison resistance before going in there though. Shoals, we might go dragon form unarmed combat through a lot of it. We'll have to see how things end up going down in that department. So I think I do enjoy the idea of just heading back out to regular dungeon for now. Let's learn dragon form here. And let's also start getting some of our special spells onto hotkeys. So I always love that one. And then 9 can also be ZN. While we're at it, it does mean that I should probably change IMB now. Let's put it, do I want to put it back to D? Do I trust myself now? Have I learned from my mistakes and I'll stop hitting that macro? Let's hope for it. And instead put dragon form down, because dragon form, of course, we go from 49 health to 73. So quite the improvement there. Still just attack at 1.0 and probably don't hit very hard with 3 strength. Never mind, we go up to 13 strength. So that's kind of nice. We do gain some in that department. Let's see. Maybe we'll only train you to 16 in the end transmutations, at least for now. And let's put unarmed combat into the mix. Start training that son of a gun up. And transformation actually lasts a decent amount of time here. But let's get the heck out of Dodge, shall we? Again, might run into a Roog on our way, or not, and that's fine too. And then we can just start clearing out regular dungeon again, seeing what it feels like to live on this side of things. Is that just Wraith, or is that Josephine? Let's throw that down there real quick. And just see what happens. As long as we don't get slowed, shouldn't be too disappointing dealing with these sons of guns, or too much trouble, I should say, I guess. Oh, Hydra's still alive, though. How about that? Well, let's just throw that son of a gun right there and keep you in the blast zone as well. Fantastic. Oh, that's more wraiths. Bring me back around to thinking maybe this is a Josephine situation here. But we'll see, I guess. Probably right away if I had to make assumptions. Let's drop that there. Oh, Cyclops took out the fulminant prism. Why would he do that, my friend? Just go walk around. Come on. Come on. Let's not be ridiculous here. And we'll finish you off with some quick lightning beams. Fantastic. And just get back on the road here. Could definitely do with some slightly more consistent AoE for sure. Dealing with or relying on fulminant prism to deal AoE damage to groups is a little bit dangerous, to put it lightly. But hopefully we can find Manifold Assault soon, because that will complement the Dragon Form plan quite well. And will be just fantastic, all things considered. Let's put this down here, and once more with feeling. Beautiful. Now you, my friend, you could come right this way. Oh, okay, you're dead already, never mind. Well, that's one way to deal with an orc warrior, I guess, and more orc warriors. Are we gonna find our entrance to orc here then, maybe? Definitely seems like that might be a reasonable assumption to make. So we get offered knowledge of Hailstorm, and I mean, now you're starting to get there, Behemoth. You're starting. Still a ways off before you earn my favor and I start taking spells from you, but it's definitely an improvement over the level 1s. Behemoth did offer us Stone Arrow just a wee bit ago, and I meant to at least take a look at it, potentially, or even probably pick it up as well. Unfortunately, the time has passed here, so we're just gonna have to live with our decisions, but hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us in the butt too much in one way or another. And Fulminant Prism, you are just truly incredible. Yar's Violent Unraveling, might want to learn that one so we can take care of enemy summons. Hey Ninth, how's it going? Hope you're having a fantastic weekend here. In fact, where's Unarmed? Unarmed was at 2.2. Let's see how it goes against some weaker enemies here, shall we? I mean, against weaker enemies, it's definitely already kicking, so we might want to start bringing this to bear a little more often. I mean, obviously, it's going to be our go-to in the future, one way or another. There, that's all of our ID scrolls. Let's drop those enchant weapons. Okie dokie. What else? What else? Guess there's not a lot else at the end of the day. Let's just start taking care of business here in D12. Jeez Louise, that has come up fairly quickly. Tinker Warriors should die into the Fulminant Prism. Things are starting to get a little bit sketchy here for sure. Scary. Did I get the chance to play in the tournament? Not as much as I wanted to, for sure. I think we just got in a few run attempts, but I was hoping to get a lot more time. Unfortunately, kind of unfortunately, it's bittersweet, I guess. I got a set of interviews for what is essentially a promotion at work, and so I got very distracted by that and have been quite busy trying to prepare for the various interviews I've been with on that department. So again, unfortunately, not as much DCSS tournament play as I'd like, but it's probably worth it in the long run at the end of the day. So I can't complain too much. But yeah, what about yourself? Did you get in a decent amount of tournament play? Are you happy with your experience in the tournament this time around? I've definitely really enjoyed playing in 0.29. It's been a lot of fun. And yeah, tax of opportunity, not as bad as I expected. I mean, it helps that I've played mostly cat runs so far, so having the extra speed means tax of opportunities don't exactly play the same role they do on other characters. Yeah, I've basically only played cats, and I was gonna say spellcasters, but we actually did play some dex-based sword runs, and those were pretty hard to get off the run, I guess. Or to get off the ground, I should say. This version is rough, yeah. I can feel that. I imagine that I'm just barely scratched the iceberg over on my end. Yeah, you didn't really play that much. But nice, I hope what runs you did manage to get on for were enjoyable and you had a good time. And perfect, there we go. Older beetle taken care of. Cat won't feel a tax of opportunity? Yeah, not at all, fortunately. So it's been a nice species to start off in terms of this series with, for sure. We were playing some Meteorans, and what else did I play during the tournament? Was it Demigod in the end? I think it was Demigods. Just to try and max out decks as much as possible. Oh right, we were playing some Hunters. And that's something that I'm excited for Baraki coming up after Felid's here. Because Hunters are in a really good place, or ranged users in general are in a much more interesting place than they were previously. actually being able to rely 100% on a ranged weapon for the entirety of your run is a lot of fun. Oof. And here's where we let ourselves go back to cat form, and we're happy for it because we can immediately just start cheesing out with our speed. And feeling good about it. Fantastic. Bad time to be dragon form there. I guess not the end of the world though, as we managed to make it out in one piece. 0.3 kicked off with major player buffs. You're quite surprised. Oh wow, that's interesting. Very curious to see what that will entail when we eventually get there in the future. I of course don't really play Trunk much, so it'll be a hot minute before I get to see those changes in action. That's definitely fairly interesting to see. Is it across the board player buffs or just for specific styles or backgrounds? Okay, you, my friend. Oh, right, I can kind of put fulminant prisms between us. It's not exactly the be-all end-all solution. Let's turn ourselves into a dragon and get slapping, shall we? Attacking at slightly faster than once per turn, so that's nice. We've also gained another life, so how about that? Across-the-board monster nerfs, which translate to player buffs. Oh, interesting. Well, nice, I'm excited to see what comes next for sure. That is very exciting. Okay, let's try and cheese out the Centaur Warrior here as much as possible. Or, you know, not, because they'll just walk right up to us anyway. That's fine. Should still be able to use fulminant blasts here to pretty decent effect. Or, you know, murder everything with our claws before they get the opportunity. But hey, I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get at this point. And not too shabby here. Let our Tengu friends come right up to us. A few more spells that we probably won't really be using in that book. That's still fantastic. I just like having the options at the end of the day, you know? And that should just about do it for you, my friend. Perfect. Mummy gets faith now in case you don't get to Mummy in the 6 months it's going to take. Well, yeah, who knows? With Cat, Baraki, and now Meteorin will also be thrown in there. We'll actually have to decide if I want to put Meteorins onto the very end of the list, or if I want to finish with Mummy. Finishing with Mummy has always felt like it would be fairly poetic, seeing as how they are one of the trickier species, or they don't have a lot of positive trade-offs across the board, so I think that there's something to be said for finishing off the entire shebang with them. We'll have to decide as we get a little bit closer to the event. And you haven't played this version much, Jazzy, but when you did, you were getting kind of owned. Yeah, I think that that is definitely fair enough. It depends on what type of characters you play, for sure. But in general, it's a relatively tricky update in terms of survivability. Lots of tough enemies and tough buffs to deal with. I'm actually surprised that we've even done this well with the majority of our cat runs. Largely, I guess, due to getting fairly lucky in the early game with spell drops specifically. Normally having to rely on just waiting for, you know, a Sivmuna altar so that you have guaranteed access to some of the much needed abilities for a cat is not exactly the best strategy to rely on across the board, so very happy with some of the luck that we've seen over the course of the few runs we've done over the past couple weeks. Jeez Louise, though. Yeah, this is going to be a problem. So let's see, we could Fear Scroll against you, my friend. We could Blink, I guess. They nerfed Ice Magic, and Merfolk lost a tiny bit of aptitude for polearms. You were crying in the club. That's fair enough. It's all about those thematic Merfolk runs. You gotta have a trident in hand. But Sword Merfolk is awesome. In your opinion, it's the best melee dude in .29. Oh, cool. For what reason? Ninth, because they have good base decks, and then decent aptitudes in terms of long blades, evasion, all that kind of stuff. Maybe that would make sense to me. Let's do Scroll of Fear here and just get the heck out of dodge. Centaur Warriors are going to be a real pain in the butt. Yeah, good stats, godly apps, makes sense. You're right, that change doesn't really matter because they still have great polearm aptitude, but Frozen Ramparts was your favorite spell. We hope it's still good. I still think it's fairly good. I mean, Frozen Rampart, it's never going to be as strong as it was. What was that? Was that like pre 2.6 when you could move in Frozen Ramparts? Ramparts got gutted so bad. Did it really? I was using it on one of our characters last week, and I didn't even really notice. But what changed in that department? Okie dokes. It no longer ignores AC. I see. That makes sense. So it definitely scales a lot worse. Makes sense why I didn't notice it as well, because we were still fairly early days in the runs. At least while we were still using IMB. I forget what we ended up swapping to on some of those characters. But definitely makes a bit more sense when you put it into perspective. And let's see, what do I do with all of you friends? I can probably just keep this general strategy going. It's kind of working out for us, all things considered. I say as things potentially start to take a turn for the worse with all of our lovely friends coming in at once here. Hello, all my slimy boys. And let's finish with Dragon Form here. Fantastic. In fact, we might have to start throwing Dragon Form into the mix a wee bit more often now that we've gotten it to a really solid place. Unarmed combat also coming up nicely, already at 5.5. Probably will want some more fighting training. I guess we could train more dodging. Won't be relying on it too much while we're in Dragon Form at least. So that's not top of my agenda. And absolutely hate that. Okay. What do I do with you? Could use Fear again. Polymorph, 31% chance, turn you into one of those. Let's do it. Now that I can deal with. Are Goliath frogs even fast? They are. So how about that? Well, let's definitely drop a prism down on you then, my friend. Are we equal speed potentially? Looks like we're at a dead even sprint here. Well, that is fantastic. Does mean that I can potentially throw out some of these or not. That's cool too. That's just fine. You know it's good, but you wonder why they felt the need to do that, Josie. You had to be stationary to use it. You were biased though. Yeah, at the end of the day, I definitely get it. I feel like it was insanely powerful. Just the Ice Elemental start in general, having the defensive capabilities of Ozakuba's armor and Frozen Ramparts meant that you could take out the majority of early game to mid game threats no problem. So I get that. Still really good for early game. Slow it down a little bit so you have to transition into something and can't just use your starting spellbook forever. But I say not use your starting spellbook forever as a conjurer here, which, I mean, let's be honest, I'm going to be using the majority of my starting handbook for the entirety of the run. Fulminant Prism is incredible, so, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said anything though. Definitely don't want that to get smacked down next year. But let's see how it goes against you, my friend. Much better than expected. I kind of forgot that they had the extra tongue range there, and that almost went poorly for me. But that's fine. I also can't believe I'm still getting warnings about Dragon Form. It's at 2% failure rate, which I get it's more so about the consequences of a failure than anything else, but a wee bit strange to experience regardless here. And ooh, let's see, I could buy a potion of cancellation even just for the free identify, Same with brilliance. In fact, I kind of like that strategy. Can also check, I have 3 Lig potions, and I have 4 resistance. So let's just mark the resistance as a potential future purchase here. I should also, while I'm at it, read a few more of these ID scrolls. There's enchant armor that we can throw away. Summon butterflies, which I'm still very happy that that ability has been brought back into some capacity here. Not quite as powerful as when it was a spell, but definitely a lot of fun to use. And come to me, my new kobold friends. Oh gosh. Well, never mind, let's not get too cocky about things here. Though we can always use IMB to blast these sons of guns off of our backs when things start getting a little bit rough and tumble there. Fantastic. And okie dokie, we are slowly but surely on our way here. It's almost there. Still have a little bit to go before I feel completely comfortable on our cat run here, but it definitely could be going a heck of a lot worse. So at the very least, I'm happy with that. And this was the entrance to vaults. That makes more sense here. Ooh, I just failed the 2%. How about that? After all my big talk about not needing a warning for only 2% failure rate, game definitely felt fit to bring me into the know as to why I should potentially be worried. Makes sense, makes sense. I should also be careful. I've cold vulnerability in this form, and that's something that I've been kind of not worrying about whatsoever and flying by the seat of my pants, so let's hope that doesn't come back to bite me in the butt. Oh my gosh, +1 Pearl Dragon Scale, so many cool weapons and armor pieces. What a shame that I am but a tiny cat boy. And you, my friend, can definitely get blasted times 2, and get blasted times even more. Oh gosh. I hope that Fulminant Prism kills you, otherwise you might be in it for the long haul. I guess what I could do is just put one of these like here. That way, if we hadn't exploded and killed them, or even if we had, maybe it would have blocked a shot. Now that I think about it, our own Fulminant Prism explosion probably would have destroyed it. But hey, I didn't want to put it too close to me and run the risk of blasting myself, so at the end of the day, we did what we had to, and I think, all things considered, it worked out just fine. What's been my branch order this game? So yeah, we haven't done too much branch work yet. We've gone through our first 4 floors of Lair, failing that 2% again, gosh darn it. First 4 floors of Lair, but then haven't touched our S branches yet, so I've decided to head back out to regular dungeon. Now we're at a bit of an interesting impasse of, do I wish to start my S branches, or I pretty much might as well, I guess, take a peek down into Orc and start off on that side of things. At least Orc 1 shouldn't be too much to deal with here, especially since I potentially can just go Dragon form and swipe my way through the entire initial colony up there on the first floor. And then we'll have to decide. Spider, still no poison resistance. Shoals, obviously scary in its own right. But at least we can turn into a dragon. So there's always that. Could also run around and finish off. I mean, D2 has Sigmund and Terrence, neither of which is likely to give us too much of use here. But could go to Lair 3 and kill a Rogue. That's a decent chunk of experience still. We'll have to see. For now, let us start heading towards Orc, and I'm actually going to take this as a brief opportunity to run out and grab a refill for my drink, make sure that Doggo has some dinner as well. So don't go anywhere, and I'll be back in just a second. See ya.